Hello, everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from Politico. Now, this was published on the 16th. It's written by Caddy O'Donnell. The title is Trump's Libertarian Housing Regulator Refuses to Bail Out Mortgage Firms with Public Money. Yeah, because they're private companies that chose to take high risks with their businesses themselves. And they fucked themselves. Now they want to be bailed out, and you've got these other people going, oh, they need to be bailed out. Basically, it's 2008 2.0. They're basically trying to do this. So we're too big to fail type shit. Not exactly, but, the same exact principle. And the subtitle there, Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Mark Calabria has long been on a crusade to shrink the footprint of Fannie and Freddie. Yes, because they really aren't as good as the Democrats try to portray them to be. They're what got us, besides Obama, they're what got us into the 2008 housing crisis. Because you had, the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act by Baby Bush. I mean, both sides of the same opposite sides of the same fucking coin. Because he's a neocon, and the Democrats, the rhino neocons and the Democrats are the same fucking coin. Okay, but he gets Glass-Steagall repealed under his tenure. Obama then forces Fannie and Freddie to push mortgage lenders into giving mortgages to people that have no rhyme or fucking reason to be getting one because they can't afford it. Then, because those mortgage lenders can't, see them, they don't want to be stuck with the bag. They turned around because of the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act and turned it into toxic assets. Well, because they can't do that anymore, they have to put security. They have to be securities-backed assets that they go and they piece out. Now, instead of just taking the money from the fucking mortgages, which would be a decent income, no, what they got to do is they got to chop those up, and they can't turn them into toxic assets, and they still have to back them. So now they're fucked because they have to keep paying dividends. They took the money from those people on, that paid in to get these security backed these backed securities here, and basically they got to keep paying them. That's their own fucking problem. I don't care. They screwed themselves. It isn't going to cause a housing crisis. It's going to cause a mortgage lending crisis, which to me, bankers getting fucked, I got no problem with that. Because it might actually help to correct the housing market, because you're not going to have people, paying inflated prices when they can get a fucking mortgage, because they're going to be like, you know what? There's only this many, because you're only going to have so many mortgages available, or so many lenders available besides that, but the resources are going to be limited. So you're going to have people less willing to just throw more money down and buy McMansions and shit like that. Win-win. That's actually healthier for the economy in the long run. But we're on this Keynesian fucking, runaway train going towards a bridge that isn't exactly, all there. Anyway, with millions of suddenly unemployed homeowners expected to seek relief on their mortgage payments, a libertarian regulator is standing in the way of the federal government using its most powerful weapon to stave off a housing crisis. Good, because Fannie and Freddie are not there to bail out mortgage lenders. They are there to secure mortgages for people that are at higher risk, which the government shouldn't even be doing in the first place. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the state-controlled mortgage finance companies worth a $200 billion line of credit, with a $200 billion line of credit to the Treasury, were created to ease disruptions in the market. Wrong. That's not why they were created. That is a complete lie. That is a complete misrepresentation. Fannie and Freddie were created so that more Americans could go out and buy homes. It had nothing to do with dealing with disruptions in the market. You lying sack of shit, Katie, or Caddy. You lying sack of shit, girl. You are a dishonest, sleazy individual, okay? That is just scummy, completely misrepresenting what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were founded for. That's just, it's vile. But she's going to sell propaganda. I wonder, who's getting the payoff from the fucking mortgage lenders / bankers on this one over at Politico. Now, as bankers and affordable housing advocates alike clamor for the administration to tap the giant entities for a mortgage industry bailout, the Trump appointee who oversees them is rebuffing those requests. Well, first off, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are not there to bail out the fucking mortgage industry because you got idiots running it who decided to chop up mortgages and turn them into investments to make some fucking money that they got to keep paying, and in chopping them up, have to keep paying out dividends. That's on them. It's not up to the American people to bail them out because that's who would be bailing them out because they did that. And I'm with Calabria, or whatever his name is. Calabria. Wow, I actually said it right. Or Calabria. I agree with him on this. This is ridiculous. They want to do 2008 2.0. We're too big to fail. No, you're not. Fuck you. That's how I see it. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Mark Calabria, formerly a top aide to Vice President Mike Pence, has long been on a crusade to shrink the footprint of Fannie and Freddie, which back more than half the country's $11 trillion mortgage market. Okay, so what you're basically saying is half of the mortgages out there are to people who are too high of a risk or too low of an income or other reasons are unsuitable to get a mortgage, and the only thing that allowed for them to have that was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So basically the same bullshit that caused 2008, just not as bad because they weren't giving, saying because Obama and them, because he told them and he himself was saying you better give them mortgages. It's still the same shit. It's just, like I said, not as bad because there wasn't that going on. I mean, it used to be, you'd get a mortgage in this country, okay? You would save up a nest egg to buy a house, all right? You would save up enough money that your mortgage would be, obviously inflation, whatever, but you would put more than 20% down. A lot of people back then would put down like half on a house, 40% on a house. 60%, 70%, they would save up and then they would finance the last bit. But now you get this, no money down bullshit. Like, because we're in a credit fucking world. So you get people, because on a house you still have to put something down, obviously, in pretty much all cases. You got these people that need backed mortgages because they can't put down enough to get themselves a mortgage that they could actually afford. And that's what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are there to deal with. Not idiot friggin' morons, that decide that, we maximize profit. Who cares if we overextend ourselves and fuck ourselves? Because they figure we can just go to the government and get a bailout. Well, they need to be told no. And now they're getting told no. You've got Politico shilling for the fucking bankers, which mortgage lenders basically are. So, I mean, yeah. This is ridiculous. A free market economist, Calabria, has even said he would not have rescued the companies in 2008 when the government seized them to stave off catastrophic losses during the nation's housing meltdown. I wouldn't have either. I agree with him on that. They're like, oh my God, do you believe he said this? Yes, I do. If he's a libertarian, hell, if he's just someone who's got common sense and understands fucking economics and the idea of supply and demand and people being able to pay for shit, I wouldn't be surprised if he said that. Oh no, it's so shocking. Clutch your fucking pearls a little bit harder. The FHFA The FHFA declined to make Calabria available for an interview for this story, but he has publicly dismissed industry concerns and forecasts as spin and said it is not Fannie and Freddie's job to bail out private companies. No, it's not Fannie and Freddie's job to bail out private companies. He is 100% right. Its job, what they were founded for, was to secure mortgages for people who couldn't normally get them because, their credit isn't as great. They don't have enough for the down payment. They don't make enough money. Or they barely make enough money. Those types of things. It's not there to bail out the fucking bankers so that they can take the money and, be made whole and also get fucking bonuses. No. Which would happen if Fannie and Freddie were to bail them out. The two mortgage companies are being pressed to ensure there's adequate cash flow at businesses that collect mortgage payments as borrowers stop payments on their loans during the economic shutdown. Well, they should have made sure that they had enough money in the bank to cover their expenses. You don't run a business. I mean, I understand like a small business, thin margins. But small business owners try to have an emergency cash. Why wouldn't they have it? Makes sense. I mean, I'm not some big banking fucking scumbag, and I would think that would be a smart idea. Under the $2 trillion stimulus package passed by Congress last month, homeowners can request up to a year's pause in mortgage payments. But the collection companies, known as servicers, are legally required to pay out funds to investors in mortgage-backed securities each month, even when a borrower doesn't pay. And the stimulus bill has made no provisions for backstopping them, because it shouldn't have to make provisions for backstopping them. They are the fucking banks, which I love how they don't want to say that they're the fucking banks. Okay, this is like, JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo, all these other banks. They put out fucking mortgages. They do sell them after a few years, and you have other mortgage companies, but they're basically lenders, which makes them a fucking bank. These are bankers. All right? Bankers. These are people who should be, competent enough with money that they should have emergency funds for something happening. It would make sense. I mean, anyone who's a smart business leader, or business owner, a CEO, whatever, would try to make sure that there is a buffer to cover a business's ass. But because we live in a Keynesian world economically, these idiots don't think that they need to do that. And then when the shit hits the fan, they go, excuse me, we need a bailout. And so they can go fuck themselves. They didn't plan ahead. They're the grasshopper, who sat on his ass and didn't do shit while the ant went and gathered up everything he needed. Or the squirrel or whatever it was. God, I'm mixing my fucking fables characters here, but I think you get the point. They fucked up. And these collection companies are banks. They are lenders. God. Anyway, one industry projection estimates that servicers will be on the hook for $100 billion in payments, a scenario that would wipe out many of the companies and destabilize the housing finance system. So, wait a minute. What you're basically saying here is these companies, because they were run by fucking idiots, are going to go tits up? And you think that's a bad thing? That's called Darwinism, bitch. That's business Darwinism. They shouldn't get a bailout. Period. End of story. There will still be lenders out there. See, they just don't like the fact that what's going to happen is you're going to have these larger companies, the larger banks, the ones that said, we're too big to fail, get fucked. They don't care about the small companies, the smaller mortgage companies. But you know what's funny? Those smaller mortgage companies generally don't take those mortgages, chop them up, and turn them into investments. And they're going to weather this out. And that's what really fucking scares them, I think, is the fact that they're better able to weather the situation because these smaller mortgage companies are going to have less of an issue because they're not paying out that. And because they decided to double dip. They want us to fucking, every taxpayer to cover their shit. And they don't like the fact that small companies are going to come out ahead in the end. And they could go and get fucked. Well, guess what? You play, you pay. That's how it works. At least, that's how it should work. But you people who think because you've been treated like you're an elite class and that you're special, that you should constantly get that treatment. Well, Obama ain't in office, bitch. Deal. And it's not going to destabilize the home finance system because the smaller mortgage companies that haven't created all these assets to sell, they're still going to be able to lend money. Hell, they might actually come out better in the end because it'll... it's like the idea of if you've got a wound that's infected and gangrenous, you know how like they'll put like maggots on it to eat the infected flesh. All right, basically you got to get rid of, you know, that dead flesh for the health of the whole organism. Excuse me. And that's exactly what's going to happen in this situation. You're going to end up with less leeches. You're going to end up with less pariahs. You're going to end up with these large companies no longer being a factor in you know, screwing over the average person. Like they are here because they're like, well, you know, hey, yeah, we need a bailout, you know, which is screwing over the American people, expecting us to pay for their screw-ups. Oh, God. All right. Anyway, let's continue on here. Fannie and Freddie Fannie and Freddie. Did I say Franny? Wow, I combined it. Fannie and Freddie could offer mortgage servicers help by reimbursing them more quickly for payments or by setting up an emergency program as Mae or Ginnie Mae. Because as Ginnie Mae, the government-run company that works with Federal Housing Administration loans, has done. No, they're not. See, because you can't really do it. Set up a whole another, you know, thing to do it for us. No, fuck you. Well, if you ain't gonna do it this way, do it this way. No, these people are friggin' delusional. I should have muted my phone. Sorry about that. We are in an awful crisis. It's only going to get worse. And we have these tools, said Ann McCullough, CEO of the Housing Partnership Equity Trust and former Fannie Mae executive. We are not, when it comes to housing, we're not in a crisis. We're not going to be in one. Lenders are going to get fucked, but there's still going to be the smaller mortgage companies that haven't, as I've already said multiple times, chopped up their mortgages into, you know, assets, into investments. I mean, so yeah. Fannie and Freddie were created exactly for this point. When there's a major crisis and you need to drive money into the American housing market, it's really their only purpose. No, they were not set up for that. As I've already stated, they were set up to make it so that people who generally cannot get a mortgage for a home, can get one. The idea was set up. It was set up to allow for more people to buy homes. And they played a little fast and loose, which didn't come back to bite them in the ass. But when they really started to play fast and loose, because Obama said, you have to give them a mortgage to these banks, and had Fannie Mae and Fannie and Freddie overextending themselves. Yeah, this is the shit that we ended up with in 2008. Now they want to say, well, the purpose is this because we say so give us money. No, that's not how it works, Ann. Sorry, but you're a dishonest piece of shit, and you don't have a clue that people might actually, know what the fuck is what. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Yet, Calabria maintains that forecasts of 25 to 30% of borrowers seeking delays in mortgage payments are over the top and flatly rejected the idea of setting up a program for mortgage companies earlier this month, saying Fannie and Freddie do not have the capital. That's another thing. They're not set up to bail out the mortgage fucking industry. Bankers. They're not set up to do that. So screw you. This is why these people in the mortgage industry need to just have no money pumped in, and if they go tits up, they go tits up. They need a reality check. Maintaining Fannie and Freddie's capital is key to the plan. Calabria has spent his year as director of FHFA carefully plotting, releasing the companies from government control, an idea that until 2 months ago looked like a done deal. And it's the smartest thing to do because they need to be run like a fucking business. Okay? That's the problem with any government agency that isn't. Do you want them run like the fucking post office? The post office isn't run like a business. It can't turn a profit. But UPS, FedEx, and all these others, out there that do the same fucking thing for all intents and purposes, they can do it at a profit. Why? Because they run as businesses. Fannie and Freddie need to be run that way. They're not there to bail out everyone. They shouldn't be. I mean, if they're going to, they could be higher risk, like as private businesses, they can be, lenders that offer mortgages to higher risk individuals. That's perfectly fine. But this shit, no, it's not cool. It's not copacetic. Now critics are accusing him of clinging to a long-held goal that makes little sense in face of a potentially major housing crisis sparked by the pandemic. Well, wait a minute. Potentially. Possibly. Maybe. So basically they're like, give us money now, even though we don't know that we're going to be fucked. You got to love that. David Dworkin, president and CEO of National Housing Conference, an affordable housing advocacy group, said the FHFA needs to set aside that plan. No, fuck you. See, they're now with like someone like him, he doesn't like that plan because he wants it to be a big bloated bureaucratic agency that does things along the lines that work with his ideological and beliefs and his goals in his position in the National Housing Conference. If they're private businesses, they're where they have to turn a profit in order to stay solvent. Fannie and Freddie aren't going to do the stupid shit that he's been able to exploit as the CEO of the NHC. Right now, we've got to focus on crisis mitigation because the housing crisis is coming. If we don't get in front of it, it will bury us, Dworkin said. Wait a minute, how is that going to happen? You're going to have lenders go belly up. Someone's going to buy their paper, all the paper that they have, all the mortgages, and life's going to go the fuck on. These people have been deferred for a year, if they take it, up to a year. They're going to go back to paying their mortgages. The only people that are going to get fucked are the lenders who decided to turn these mortgages into securities-backed investments and then sold them to fucking people and then had to guarantee payment out. They're the ones who fucked themselves. That's on them. The only crisis is going to be for them for the most part. But Dworkin don't want to admit that. You don't put 20 to 30 million Americans out of work and bring them back with the flip of a switch, Dworkin said. These people are going to take months and years to be reabsorbed back into the workforce. That's going to have a devastating impact on Americans' abilities to make their mortgage payments, which they've got a year deferred, number one. Number two, okay, what happened here? It's not like it literally fucked the economy, beyond all recognition. We open up now. A lot of these people are going to get their fucking jobs back, which it appears they don't want. They want to get the money. They want to get bailed out from Fannie and Freddie here with the bankers, okay? You've got the Democrats who, they go, the bankers are bad, but they tend to be in bed with them more than, say, the Republicans ever were, all right? You got them basically saying we need to be closed, shut down as a nation for 6 to 18 months. You've got the legacy media pushing this. It's almost as if like there's this big fucking elaborate plan. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy-minded individual, but when it comes to exploiting a fucking crisis, you sure as shit have a lot of people doing it at the same time in what appears as a coordinated effort. That's all I'm saying. And it looks that way. If mortgage companies themselves go under, Fannie and Freddie could end up taking huge losses, so keeping them out of the game to preserve their capital makes little sense, especially when they have a credit line to Treasury. Now, hold on. How are they going to lose out? If they stay out of the fucking shit, Fannie and Freddie aren't going to lose. That's like the stupidest thing someone could say to justify them getting involved. Well, if they don't get involved, they're gonna get fucked. How? They have no liability. They have no financial issues if they stay out. That makes absolutely no goddamn sense. That they have to get involved or they're fucked. No, if they get involved, they're fucked. And the American people, by extension, get fucked. Oh, credit line to the Treasury. Oh, yeah, let's just put ourselves deeper in fucking debt. Idiots. Oh, well, wait a minute. That's because the American people would be stuck with that line of credit and they'd just get their fucking money. Because the idea is with their bailout, I'm sure, they're just going to get paid and never be expected to pay a goddamn dime back. These people are vile and fucking disgusting. People are without jobs and they're like, oh, well, we were idiots. We created these investments. We double dipped and we screwed ourselves. Give me money. These people are vile and disgusting, and they're trying to say, oh, it's going to be a housing crisis because if you don't give me money. It don't work like that. The mortgage market feels very fragile and is on the verge of shutting down, said Moody's economist Mark Zandi, who has forecast that a staggering 30% of homeowners will seek a suspension of their mortgage payments in the months ahead. Well, it isn't shutting down. You're going to have businesses that are going to go tits up because they made bad business decisions thinking, oh shit, I'll double dip, I'll make more money. That's on them. Well, it's possible that a much lower number of borrowers may ultimately use programs to delay those payments, Zandi said. It is unwise for Calabria to bank on the rosier outlook of the current environment. That's not what he's doing. He's being a fucking libertarian, you dumb shit, and he realizes that Fannie and Freddie are not there to bail out the goddamn banks. They're not there to bail out the other types of lenders, that do mortgages. They are not there to do that. They are there to secure mortgages for the average fucking person that they wouldn't be able to normally get otherwise, which he doesn't even like the idea of that being a libertarian. He wants to spin them off into private companies that have to turn a profit so that they act a little more reasonable and so that they're not a burden on the United States government. But you guys, with these multi-million-dollar companies out there, they're saying with your hand out, gimme, 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 because I can't survive otherwise. You created the situation you were in. You made your bed, now lie in it. Oh, God. I don't get it, Zandi said. Any forecast here is possible, but it feels increasingly unlikely in the context of what will be 15 to 20% unemployment. And the longer he waits to guard against the downside, the costlier it's going to be for Fannie and Freddie, the mortgage servicers, and ultimately the consumer. No, Fannie and Freddie aren't going to get fucked, number one. You keep saying that with nothing to back it up. Number two, okay, you're making these wild assumptions that there's going to be unemployment at that level when it's been a temporary situation and we're not at a point where things can't just, once you start having people go back to work, if we go back by May 1st, that the spigot's going to be turned back on and things are going to start to be flowing back the way they were, and most of these people are going to get their jobs back, which is most likely going to be the case. You're trying to manipulate the situation and make it look like it's going to be this doom and gloom. Housing market's going to implode because these mortgage lenders are fucking idiots who decided to, double dip. It's ridiculous. There's still going to be mortgage lenders out there if these ones that did that go tits up. So the consumer isn't going to be hurt. A prudent regulator would be focused on the downsides and guarding for that, he said. No, a prudent regulator would make sure that the mandate of what he's regulating is followed. And Fannie and Freddie are there to secure mortgages for average people, not bail out bankers and shitbag mortgage lenders who make used car salesmen look like articulate and intelligent people. The FHFA said it's on top of the situation. Yeah, they look like they are. FHFA continues to focus on making sure borrowers understand their forbearance options and are not put out on the streets during the national health emergency, agency spokesperson Rafi Williams said. We will continue to monitor the data closely and make data-driven decisions to ensure the health of the housing finance system. Okay, sure. You're just shitting your pants right now. But hey, that's perfectly fine. At least from my perspective, it's perfectly fine. Fannie and Freddie buy and guarantee loans from mortgage lenders, pooling them and bundling them into securities for sale on the bond market, freeing up the lenders to make more loans. Well, that's kind of not exactly, it's somewhat what they do, but they're there to secure. They're basically, the point is they're there to guarantee loans, period. That for people who wouldn't normally be able to get them, like mortgages. So, yeah. And this idea of freeing up lenders to make more loans, that's not exactly what they're there to do. That's not the point of this. That's a complete fucking misrepresentation of it. They do not guarantee these loans from mortgage lenders so that these lenders can make more loans. They're doing it because these people are of high risk. It has nothing to do with freeing up the ability for these lenders to make more loans, because clearly they've obviously made too many fucking loans if they're up shit's creek right now. Calabria, a former Senate Banking Committee aide under Alabama Republican Senator Richard Shelby, and an economist at the Libertarian Cato Institute, came to the top housing regulator job in April 2019, widely respected by both the mortgage industry and affordable housing advocates. Oh no, because you didn't do what you wanted, you're upset. Listen, this is the next thing. Now, he's torched his credibility, according to one industry insider. How has he torched his credibility? Because he hasn't bent Uncle Sam over. Let's get this right. He hasn't literally bent Uncle Sam over, like I should say, allowed you to bend Uncle Sam over a desk with him on the other side, holding the shoulders down so you can fucking anally rape Uncle Sam. That's not how it works. So because he won't do that, he's burned his credibility? You people are torched his credibility. You people are ridiculous because he won't hold Uncle Sam by the shoulders down on the desk so you can fuck him up the ass. He's torched his credibility. Wow, you people are scum. You want to fuck the country. You want to fuck us over and stick us with bailing your asses out and have us pay for it. And you're pissed that he won't let you do it. And you're saying he damaged his credibility because of that? No, in my book, he's gained more credibility. There is no taxpayer argument in this that makes any sense. Yes, there is, the person said. You probably would make money if you were going to do a lending facility for servicers. Where's your proof for that? I mean, this is ridiculous. There is no taxpayer argument that makes sense. Really. So Fannie and Freddie bail out you stupid idiots who overextended yourselves by turning around and taking mortgages and double dipping and turning them into security-backed investments instead of just holding on to the paper and be happy with the money that you were getting in from that. You screw yourself with that. And now you want the American people, the taxpayer, to bail your asses out. And you're trying to say that there is no taxpayer argument that makes any sense? You trying to saddle us with your debt because you're idiots is not a valid argument? Is not an argument that makes any sense? Us not wanting to have that happen to us? Seriously? I want to know who this insider is, this anonymous shitbag, because this idiot needs to be called out from here to high heaven. Oh, there's no arguing. Just give us the money. Fuck you, dude. Seriously. Announcing a plan to help servicers would also have a secondary effects in calming the market, according to analysts, by encouraging wary banks to maintain lines of credit for the companies amid the turmoil. Well, here's the thing. Maintain lines of credit for them. They are credit providers. If they're getting credit and they're giving out credit, they're not in a fucking good situation. That makes absolutely no sense. That's not how you run a business. You're a credit issuer or a credit holder. Because, a lot of these companies will buy mortgages. They get sold off in chunks onto the market. Because of that, you shouldn't be putting yourselves in debt. Period. End of story. You are credit providers. You shouldn't be getting credit yourselves. You shouldn't need it. Oh my God. Calabria may be right that servicers in aggregate can handle this, but that may be irrelevant if the rest of the world is skeptical of that and cut off warehouse lines for the whole industry's end, I said. Well, here's the thing. There's going to be people out there that understand that there's money to be made in lending. So there's always going to be people putting money out there. You're not going to have idiots doing it. You're going to have really smart people that are going to take advantage of the situation because they'll know that they're the ones that the market favors. Oh, no. I thought you liked capitalism. And if servicers go under, Fannie and Freddie will be tasked with transferring mortgage servicing rights to other companies, a costly process in an economic downturn, or end up taking losses. Whoa. Those mortgages are going to be sold off. Okay? Those mortgages that are going to be affected by this will be sold off. Another company is going to buy them. They're the ones that should be paying for it, the transfer. They're the ones that are going to be shelling out the money for them. So why is Fannie and Freddie going to be paying the cost of it? They're not, the American people, aren't benefiting by Fannie and Freddie Mae shelling out that money. The company that's saying, hey, I'll buy those mortgages, they should be the ones that have to pay the cost for that. And this is ridiculous. FHFA's stance makes little sense either from the taxpayer's perspective or from their role as conservator. Providing short-term collateral-backed liquidity to servers would avoid the operational and financial challenges of transferring those rights, said Michael Bright, CEO of the Structured Finance Association, which represents 370 financial institutions in the bond market. So basically, Fannie and Freddie Mae should do this because then when these mortgages get pieced out and sold off, someone won't have to, because it won't happen. There won't be fees to be paid. There won't be the charges that are necessary to do the transfers. This is their fucking logic for this. Because that's what he's basically saying. The operational and financial challenges. It's all done digitally. You go and you demand to see a copy of your mortgage these days. Most mortgage lenders do not have a physical copy of the paper. And they're supposed to. They do it all digitally. Oh yeah, that's real fucking hard to push a button on a goddamn computer. This is ridiculous shit. It's leaving market participants scratching their heads for sure, Bright added. Dworkin warned that we can very easily fall into the trap we did 10 years ago of being obsessed with moral hazard and ending up with an immoral result that ultimately hurts consumers and taxpayers. Now, trying to play the freaking moral card. Well, it's morally right to bail out moralless bankers and lenders because it's going to screw over the rest of the country. No. In the housing crisis, the reason why the country was screwed with that was because of those toxic assets, because most people's retirement bought those toxic assets. The only people who are going to get fucked here are you stupid lending pieces of shit. You scumbag bankers. That's fine by me. Rotten fucking hell for all I care. You people are, I'm a capitalist, but you people are crony capitalists. You are corporatists. And now things aren't working out for you. You expect the government to bail you out. The American people to do it. Not happening. Screw you. No matter how much bullshit you sling. I mean, here I am. I'm in front of my fucking computer with a mic, and I'm able to show how full of shit you are. Just using common sense. And it's immoral to force someone at gunpoint to pay for your... How is it not immoral, I should say? For you to have the government hold the American people at gunpoint and have them pay to bail you out. That's immoral. You multi-millionaire pieces of fucking shit expecting the American people to bail your sorry asses out. That is immoral. All right? Because you can't run your damn business and do so to make sure that it can survive financial issues. Because you can't do that. You think we should cover? No, you're immoral for that. That's immoral. It hurt taxpayers more than what you're talking about. Zandy suggested the moral hazard argument that the... I'm sorry. I'm going to laugh at this, I bet. Zandy suggested the moral hazard argument that the government shouldn't provide incentives for risky behavior in the market has no bearing on the current crisis. How the fuck doesn't it? Let's encourage risky behavior when we've got issues that are, causing problems with the fucking economy. Yeah, let's just keep on acting like complete and total idiots when that's going on. It's morally wrong to feed that behavior. And it has a bearing on this current crisis because you people would not be where you are if you had morals. You would not be where you are if, on the note of morals of knowing that, you shouldn't be double dipping, risking fucking over other people because because you want to make a couple extra bucks. I mean, that's morally wrong. All right, because you plan on making money at someone else's expense regardless. And you didn't do it the way that you planned, and now you want the government to bail you out. So you still think that you're going to get that. Not happening. That's wrong. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. FHFA made the decision to give borrowers forbearance, so FHFA could bear the cost of that, not the mortgage servicers who didn't make the decision. Well, you know what? You're saying, well, this is a pandemic and people need to step up. By your own logic, you need to step up. Just saying, I don't agree with people, getting up to a year off of their mortgage. I don't agree with that because if you can't squirrel away enough money to cover several months of your mortgage, if you don't have 3 to 6 months of savings to cover your expenses, you got a problem. That's common sense. And they're like, well, up to a year or this, that, and the other thing. And and there's unemployment, which people will be able to cover their things like their mortgages and other expenses. They have the stimulus. So, it's not like they're not going to have money coming in because they'll be on unemployment. They might not be making what they were, which falls on them because they decided to live well beyond their means, which is what most Americans do these days. So everyone's kind of at fault in this situation. You get consumers, homeowners that live well beyond their means. You get these mortgage people trying to do the same thing but on a different note, trying to have the company operate beyond its means. So, you got a clusterfuck going on here and you're like, well, we're all stupid. Bail us out. And the thing is, you might not have agreed to it, but I'm sure you had people there representing you. So you did have your say, because you people all, people like you always manage to have, at least a seat at the table. Meanwhile, if servicers are struggling to survive, they're not going to make loans, which is what the economy needs, Zandy added. No. Right now, the economy needs to contract. Okay, you Keynesian dumb fucks. You're the reason why the economy is in the shit state that it is with what's going on. Because, gotta keep pumping money in. Gotta revolving credit, pump money into the economy. Instead of allowing the economy to contract when it needs to contract. Mortgage bankers are scrambling to get the Federal Reserve to offer help to servicers, fearing that Calabria is counseling against any sort of lending for servicers. So basically, because he won't do it with Fannie and Freddie Mae, you're going to go to the Federal Reserve. As long as you owe the money to them, fine by me. The Mortgage Banker Association fired off a late-night statement slamming him for his troubling remarks ruling out a Fannie and Freddie Mae program for servicers last week. Oh, I'm sure they did, because that means that they're caught holding the bag. They made a business decision. Now they have to live with that business decision. If you weren't prepared for a pandemic, flood, famine, or whatever else, that's on you. The demand for pause in mortgage payments or forbearance is already surging. Requests for forbearance leaped 78% in the first week of April, according to data from the Mortgage Bankers Association, which reports that 30.74% of all loans are now in forbearance, up from 0.25% the first week of March. So 3% of them and you're freaking out. Okay, it's not like it's 20% or 40% or 60%. It's 3.74%. It's not even 4%. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, let's just get through this here because it's getting way too long. Aaron Klein, a Treasury official under President Barack Obama, who's now at the Brookings Institution, is advocating for the establishment of a streamlined refinancing program akin to the 2010 Home Affordable Refinance Program, the FHFA, set up in 2009. The program reduced payments of over 3 million homeowners. Oh. So basically, you want Fannie and Freddie Mae to pump more money out and put the American taxpayers themselves in the country deeper in the hole. Gotcha. Okay. If we can help people keep their homes, if we can help families tap into their home equity during this crisis, we ought to do that, as opposed to prioritizing the balance sheet of two companies the government owns, Klein said. Actually, most of the families that are going to get fucked are the ones who shouldn't have mortgages in the first place, or mortgages at the amounts that they had, that they got them at. So because they made stupid decisions, the government should be a nanny to them and parent them? Seriously? Dworkin agreed, pointing to the extraordinary government actions small government Republicans initiated in the last crisis. One of the most valuable lessons learned from Ben Bernanke and Hank Paulson is that as the crisis exploded, they took all their ideological foundations and threw them into the garbage can, and they thought completely outside the box, Dworkin said. The federal officials who are able to do that will be remembered as the ones who were successful. They threw all their ideological shit out of the box. They were neocons. And Democrat shitbags that went along with this, that were for this shit, okay, on the note of Congress and everything else, all right? They were the ones for this shit. Why? Because they're in bed with the fucking bankers, okay? And the bankers went, well, we're not going to eat the cost of this shit. We're too big to fail. Sorry, but you're not too big to fail. Fuck you. Your paper's going to be sold if you can't keep your company going. Some other mortgage lender is going to buy it, and you're all fucked. Deal with it. That's what I would tell them. That's just me, though. Anyway, I've more than covered this well enough. I mean, this is almost a 50-minute video before the end, video closing on the end. So, yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.